Right, morning fellas, welcome back to another Villa on Tour video. Today we are doing the third episode of Villa on Talk. I don't know why I keep doing that, because that's what it's called. Anyway, I'm not joined with Owen today because he's at work and I can't do it later because I'm going to the cricket, even though I don't really like cricket. But there you go. I'm doing it by myself today. Most weeks it should be with Owen, but today I'm doing it by myself because it doesn't work. Anyway, let's get into it. Coming up on this episode this week, I'm going to be reviewing the Everton game, talking about how good the atmosphere was and the standout players in that game, talking about the upcoming Crew game in the Carabao Cup, how far we can go in the Cup and the selection I would make for that game, talking about the leaked third kit on Twitter, Mings and Jack Grealish for England, Tammy Abraham and how well he's doing for Chelsea, and of course your comments off Twitter. And finally, we'll also be talking about the racial abuse some players have been experiencing on social media in the last few weeks. Right, where else to start than the Everton game? Now, I want to start talking about the atmosphere. For me, I said it in the video, I think. If you haven't already watched the video, by the way, go and check that one out. Very good one, unbelievable scenes. But I think I said it on Twitter, I think the atmosphere was one of the best I've ever been in, and the fact it was on a Friday night against a team, you know, that isn't Blues, isn't Albion, just says how up for it and how together the sort of club and the fans are. Sell out, of course, which is always going to help. But here's a clip of Sweet Caroline from Full Time. It just emphasises how good the atmosphere was. I think Jack Woodward said it on the AVFC commentary as well. It felt like a cup final, like the atmosphere and the anticipation for the full-time whistle really did feel like a cup final. Because, you know, towards the end of the game it was 1-0 and Everton was sort of having chances, so the anticipation and the nervousness was there. So let's start talking about the Everton game. Now, let's be honest, in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes, we started slow, much like we did against Bournemouth. It wasn't amazing. But Everton didn't really have too many clear-cut chances. I don't think in the game as a whole, I don't remember Tom Heaton having to make too many big saves. But Everton had the ball in the first sort of 15 minutes. They were all over us, carving out a few chances. And I think with Everton as well, as soon as they get the ball in the midfield, they wanted to move it wide, like towards Richarlison and Bernard. And we saw in the first, I don't know whether it was 20 minutes in or so, Richarlison goes into the box, he's taken down by Grealish, and it was just so soft. I think Villa fans were having to go in and booed him for the rest of the game because it was a dive. Just talking about Richarlison as well, he had a really poor game. Bernard as well didn't really get into it. I think Everton in the past few weeks, I don't think their forward line has really been firing, even though they did not concede a goal in the first 2 games and won one of them against Watford. But Richarlison was poor. But for me, the worst player for Everton was Andre Gomes. I said at the start of the video, the Everton video, I was like, he's a bargain from Barcelona, he's such an underrated player. Andre Gomes from Barcelona was an absolute bargain. How naive was that? He was absolutely awful. He kicked the ball out so many times, his passing was dreadful, he looked so slow. And I was watching some Everton YouTube channel, and he said without an Idrissa Gana Gueye next to Gomez, he can't operate properly, and because they let Gueye go and they've put Gabamin in there, who they signed from Mings or somewhere in Germany, he wasn't so effective. So I think in terms of Everton, they were so poor. But let's move on from Everton. Let's just praise Villa as well, because when a top 6 or top 8 team, whatever Everton are, loses, the onus is on them and how poor they were, rather than the underdog in Villa and how good they were. So I'm going to talk about Villa, of course. One place to start, Wesley. What a game he had. Now, after the first 2 games in the Premier League, people were bashing him unfairly, yes, because it's a new country, etc, etc. But he was absolutely fantastic. His hold-up play was absolutely immense. He absolutely battered Yerry Mina, which is just hilarious. He just had him on absolute strings. He's just a battering ram, and he's different to Abraham, and you can sort of see in pre-season him and Hotter were linked up so well. and that worked in the first goal as well. Let's talk about the first goal. Quick free kick taken by Jack Grealish, plays it to Freddie Gilbert, lays it to Hotter on the right hand side, drifts in, not too much pressure on him to be fair, and then he just slips a perfect ball through to Wesley. Fantastic movement by Wesley, great vision by Hotter, and there you go, 1-0. Easy goal really, poor from Everton, there was pressure, wasn't too much pressure, and there you go, 1-0. I think for the rest of the first half we had a few more opportunities, but I think we were fairly comfortable going into half time. Coming out for the second half, I think we started okay in the first 20 minutes of the second half, had a few chances, good on the counter-attack, putting pressure on Everton really well, but I think around the 65th, 70th minute they brought on Moise Keane, they brought on Alex Iwobi, who's a useless excuse of a footballer, he's awful, but they were always going to create chances having the ball. I think Iwobi hit the post, Heaton made a couple of saves, so we rode our luck a little bit, but I think we probably deserved it. We had a few chances on the counter-attack, and of course Anwar El Ghazi coming on. I think he's a really good option to bring on. I think it was a good choice by Smith to start Hotter because El Ghazi hasn't had the best first 2 games. He's been offside a lot. I know that doesn't really mean a lot, but he's just been a little bit lazy. And I think him coming on in a high intensity game where a few of the defenders may have been a little bit tired, he can really cause carnage. And if you look at the second goal, Wesley does really well, lays off to McGinn. When McGinn receives the ball, El Ghazi isn't even in shot. So he comes absolutely belting in, McGinn lays him off, he nutmegs Andre Gomez of all people, slips under Pickford, game, set and match. 2-0 to the Villa, and that is that. I think Marco Silva in his after-match interview, he said Everton deserve more. I don't think they did, not at all. I think 1-0 would have been a fair result, draw at a push, but for me I think we did deserve the game, and good. Getting a clean sheet as well is absolutely massive. I've said it before, Mings and Engels, superb this season. I think I've said it before again. It was unfair on them to concede those 5 goals in 2 games. I didn't think that reflects how good they've been. But getting a clean sheet against a good Everton side, I think that's going to boost the confidence massively. I think Engels cleared one off the line in the first half, gave it a massive fist bump as well. He looked incredible. Tyrone Mings, we'll come on to him later when we talk about the whole England situation. But unbelievable, absolutely fantastic. Again, talk about him later. Just quickly before we move on as well, DB off Twitter has asked me how many goals do you realistically see Wesley scoring this season? Now, last week's Villa on Talk, I said I'd be surprised if he got 10. Maybe that was a little bit naive of me because I had only seen him in 2 games, but based on Friday, I'd probably say about 13. I'd say 13 goals and that would be a success. I think that would be a really good start for Wesley. Leave it in the comments below. How many goals do you think Wesley will score this season? So moving on from the Everton game, we're going to talk about Crewe, who we are playing on Tuesday in the Carabao Cup. I've got my tickets here. Me, Owen, Jamie and Luke will be going up to Crewe. God knows why we're making that journey on a Tuesday night. But it's to follow the Villa, so we don't mind. Amy has asked me on Twitter who my starting 11 would be for this game. Now I've got my notes, I've got my trusty notes, and this is the team that I'll play for Crewe. I think we have to rotate, 100% we have to rotate, but we do have the squad to rotate. So for me, I would start steering goal, Elmo, Konsa, Courtney Hawes, Matt Target as the back line. Nakamba, if he's fit, I want to see him play. I really want to see what he can do. Lansbury and Horahan partnering him in the midfield. Up front, Keenan Davis, Anwar El Ghazi on the left, and Kodja if he's fit on the right. But if he's not, I'd probably start Hotter and bring maybe Trezeguet on as the game's going on. But I think we have to rotate. I think Trezeguet in particular, especially in the Bournemouth game, he looked absolutely battered. Grealish as well, he looked absolutely knackered as well. So I think we have to rotate, but we also have the squad to rotate. I think we can't underestimate Crewe, but let's be honest, I think they're a League 2 team. I think they're League 2, don't hate me if they're not, but they're a lower league opposition, let's just put it that way. So we have to really go for it. We have to win this game. And that leads me on to, as well, I put on Twitter, what do you want me to talk about in this Villa on Talk? And a lot of people talked about how far we should go in the Cup. Now, I don't care if we win the League Cup or the FA Cup. For me, I couldn't care less. As long as we win silverware, but that's not what we should be going for this year. Realistically, should we be looking to go well in the Cup this year? Yes, we should. I think last year we've seen it. We lost to Peterborough. We've lost to Spurs in the past, Swansea last season. I think that was in the Championship and we were looking for promotion in those years. So I don't think we firmly had our eyes on the Cup, and it was also Steve Bruce's team as well in 2 of them games. So you know. Anyway, this year we're in the Premier League. We've got a big squad to an extent. I think we should be looking to do pretty well in the cup. Last 16, quarterfinals maybe. I think if we can get to Wembley, that'll be absolutely huge. But if we get a lucky run like we did, well, not like we did in 2015, but do you know what I mean? We do well like we did in 2015. I think why shouldn't we go for it? I think we've got the squad, especially to beat these Championship, League One, League Two teams. Of course we do. So if you get a lucky draw, who knows where it can take you. So again, I don't care if it's in the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup. I think we should go for it this year. We've got the fan base there. The fans will be well up for it. We want to win silverware, let's be honest. So why not go for it? Just before we move on as well, Archie on Twitter asks, a bit of a random question this, but will there be a second Villa on Tour versus the Villa View game? Yes. Now, moving on. The leaked third kit. Oh, Christ. Okay. I think it's a spin-off. Of course, it's a spin-off of the green and black and Muller kit from the 90s. But oh my God, this is dreadful. I put it on Twitter, and the general consensus is that it is quite bad. But a few people do like it. But for me, no. I don't think the green and black is a good idea. But the green front and the black sleeves and like the red Kappa logo or the orange, whatever colour it is, it doesn't work in my eyes. And I like the geometric thing because that's like to represent the stained glass windows of the whole end, but for me the colours don't work. If it was like a generic stripe one like the 90s kit, I would have liked that, but with the big W88 it doesn't work. It looks a bit like a training kit. This isn't official, by the way, it's leaked, but it's pretty much all but confirmed, but it's a dreadful kit and I will not be buying it. I'll stick to the training gear and of course the Luke Roper clothing, max 20 for 20% off, but I will not be buying this third kit because I think it's absolutely awful. Again, before we move on, Billy has asked from Twitter, what's the chances of others breaking into the first 11? Do you think our strongest team was played on Friday night? It's hard to say because we haven't seen a lot of the players. You look, we haven't seen Matt Targett yet. We haven't seen Marvelous Nakamba yet. And Nakamba's played in the Champions League against the likes of Atletico Madrid, Borussia Dortmund. So he must have something about him. But then again, Douglas Luiz again was fantastic on Friday night, moving the ball so well. So it's difficult to say at the moment, but I think there's players there, like even Gilbert, like people were saying Elmo done well in the first 2 games and he had, underestimating how good Gilbert was because he was unbelievable on Friday night. He's so quick and he loves the slide tackle. So who knows, I think we have to wait till we see Matt Targett in this team. We have to wait and see what Nakamba can do, but Dean Smith probably has an inkling on what his strongest 11 is, but we can't judge that until we have seen a few more of the players. Now also, if you don't know, Gareth Southgate was at the Everton game, probably watching Tyrone Mings, Jack Grealish, a few Everton players probably, I don't know, but Tyrone Mings for England. Leave it in the comments below. Jack Grealish as well. Do you think Tyrone Mings and Jack Grealish will play for England in the very near future? Obviously in the summer coming up we've got the Euros, so they're going to be fighting for their place there. And for me, this might be a little bit of a controversial one, but I think Tyrone Mings is more likely to get in the England squad before Jack Grealish. Now, before this season, the hype was around Jack Grealish, and Southgate had watched him in the Championship and he said he wasn't going to play him in the England squad unless he played in the Premier League. And the reason I think Mings will get in the England squad before Jack Grealish is because England lack a left-sided centre-back. They've got Maguire, they've got Stones, both right-footed. But if you've got Maguire and Mings at the back for England, that is some back line. Mings is a big lad, of course, but he's also very good with the ball at his feet. He can ping a ball across as well. Maguire, yes, he's all right with the ball at his feet, but Mings is there as well to help him there. And I think 2 massive lads who love to go and head the ball, both leaders on the pitch, can play with the ball at their feet as well. I know Southgate played 3 at the back in the World Cup, but I think he's gone back to 4 now. I think Mings and Maguire do have a really good potential, and if he plays that in the Euros, that's exciting. It's just a case of Mings staying fit, which he hasn't in the past, but in his Villa career, he has, even though he got kicked in the head. Oh no, he kicked Bjorn Engels, didn't he, in the head against Everton? Bloody hell, that could have been really nasty. Anyway, Jack Grealish as well. I know Mason Mount is sort of Jack Grealish's position. He scored against Norwich the other day and he's been doing well for Derby and Chelsea, so I think he might be slightly ahead of Grealish. Grealish has struggled in the Premier League so far, but against Everton he looked like he'd found his feet, so hopefully he can get going. But I just think there's it's a little bit more, there's more competition for Grealish's position, whereas for Mings there isn't. So you look at Jesse Lingard, Dele Alli, Mason Mount, etc., all ahead of Grealish at the moment, so Grealish is going to have to step up. But he could make the squad. Starting 11 maybe at a push if he does really well, but he could make the squad, yeah. Leave it in the comments, as I said. Do you see Mings and Grealish making the England squad this year or next year or whenever? Let me know. Now, as you know, on this Villa on Talk series, we love to talk about former players. Now, Saturday afternoon, no Villa, so I thought, sit down, watch Norwich versus Chelsea. 3 minutes in, Tammy Abraham scores a beautiful goal. He's been under a lot of abuse, Tammy Abraham, but he got the nod over Olivier Giroud, and he looked really good in this game. His second goal in particular as well. Fantastic first touch. Outside of the box, smashes it in, beautiful goal, and that's going to give him massive confidence now, and I really want to see Tammy Abraham do well. Hopefully he doesn't come back to haunt us when we go and play Chelsea, but hopefully he does well. I can see him getting 15 goals maybe. That'll be a huge success for Abraham this year. Hopefully he does well. Up the Tammy Abraham. Also, it's really sad to see Chelsea fans singing the Tammy Abraham song. Makes me sad a little bit. Now, unfortunately, last week on Villa on Talk, we talked about the Abraham abuse of him missing that penalty in the Super Cup game and him being subject to racial abuse on social media. But since then, I was watching the Wolves versus Man United game again. Paul Pogba missed a penalty against Wolves, and he got racially abused on Twitter, man. I really don't understand it. And the next day, Harry Maguire, Rashford, etc. all came out on Twitter and said, just stop it, and Twitter really do need to do something about it. And I think, again, in the Man United versus Crystal Palace game the other day, Pogba, no, it wasn't Pogba, it was Rashford that missed a penalty, and he got subject to racial abuse as well. I haven't seen it, but Sky Sports are reporting it, and it just blows my mind. Like, Twitter needs to step up, just get rid of it, because it is shocking, it's pointless, it's people hiding behind a profile picture of a player, and it's just shocking. Get rid of it, do something about it, Twitter, because it's vile and it doesn't need to happen in this day and age. But a slightly happier note to end on, Freddie Gilbert went to training on his day off. What can you do? He loves it. Anyway, that's the end of Villa on Talk this week. Sorry it's just been me, Owen's been working hard to pay for crew away. But leave your comments on everything I've discussed. As I said, go and watch the recent videos, Everton, the other Villa on Talks, etc, etc. Leave your comments, leave a like, subscribe if you are new. Up the Villa, see you at crew.